closely at your life, the results you see today, the opportunities you have, the doors that remain closed, the dreams that feel distant, none of them appeared randomly. They are reflections, they are mirrors. Life is a mirror. And the hardest truth most people avoid is this: the mirror never lies. If your life feels stuck, if your progress feels slow, if your dreams feel far away, it is not because the world refuses to change. It is because you have not changed yet. Most people wake up every morning hoping something outside of them will shift. They hope circumstances improve. They hope someone notices them. They hope luck arrives. But hope without transformation is simply waiting. And waiting is the quietest form of failure. The mirror principle teaches one brutal but powerful truth: your external world will never rise above your internal world. If your mind is filled with doubt, hesitation, and fear, your actions will reflect that hesitation, and those actions will produce ordinary results. But if your mind becomes disciplined, focused, and relentless, something powerful begins to happen. Your behavior changes, your decisions become sharper, your courage grows stronger, and suddenly the world that once looked impossible begins to respond differently, because life always responds to the person you become, not the person you wish to be, not the person you talk about becoming, but the person you demonstrate through daily action. Most people spend years blaming the mirror. They blame the economy, they blame their past, they blame other people, they blame bad luck. But blaming the mirror will never change the reflection. Only one thing can do that: changing yourself. When you change your thinking, the mirror changes. When you change your habits, the mirror changes. When you change your standards, the mirror changes. When you change your discipline, the mirror changes. And the moment you understand this truth, you stop waiting for permission from the world. You realize that transformation is not controlled by external forces. It is controlled by the decisions you make every single day. Your future is not created in one dramatic moment. It is created quietly in the small choices you repeat daily. The choice to wake up when it is easier to stay in bed. The choice to work when others choose comfort. The choice to focus when distractions are everywhere. The choice to improve when excuses feel easier. These choices may look small today, but they shape the identity of the person standing in front of the mirror tomorrow. And identity is the true engine of success. If you see yourself as someone who quits easily, life will constantly present situations where quitting becomes easy. But if you begin to see yourself as someone who finishes what they start, someone who moves forward no matter how difficult the path becomes, someone who refuses to surrender to weakness, then your actions begin to align with that identity, and those actions slowly begin to reshape your reality. Understand something powerful. Success is not attracted to wishes. Success is attracted to transformation. The world does not reward intention. The world rewards consistent action backed by belief. This is why discipline matters more than motivation. Motivation comes and goes, but discipline is a decision. And every day you choose discipline, you become a slightly stronger version of yourself, a slightly more focused version, a slightly more powerful version. Those small improvements may seem invisible at first, but over time they create something unstoppable. They create momentum. Momentum is what separates ordinary lives from extraordinary ones. Momentum turns effort into progress. Progress turns belief into certainty. And certainty turns impossible dreams into inevitable outcomes. But none of that begins until you face the mirror honestly. Look at your life and ask yourself one question. If nothing changed tomorrow, if the next 5 years looked exactly like the last 5 years, would you be proud of the person you became? If the answer is no, then understand this clearly. The mirror is not your enemy. It is your teacher. It is showing you exactly where growth is required. And the moment you accept that responsibility, you unlock the greatest power any human being can possess, the power of self-transformation. Because once you decide to evolve, everything begins to shift. Your habits sharpen, your focus intensifies, your standards rise, and slowly the reflection changes, new opportunities appear, new confidence grows, new possibilities open, not because the world suddenly became generous, but because you became different. Never forget this principle. The mirror will always reflect the person standing before it. If you bring doubt, it reflects limitation. If you bring discipline, it reflects progress. If you bring courage, it reflects opportunity. And if you bring relentless personal growth, it reflects a life that once seemed impossible. So stop waiting for the world to change. Stop waiting for luck. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. Walk to the mirror, look directly at the person responsible for your future, and make a decision today. Become the person your future requires. Because the moment you do that, the reflection will never be the same again. Stand in front of the mirror for a moment and look carefully, because the reflection staring back at you is not just a face. It is a report card of your decisions, your habits, your discipline, and your courage. Life is not a mystery when you understand this one powerful truth. The world you see outside is nothing more than a reflection of the person you have built on the inside. If your life feels stuck, it is not because destiny has ignored you. If progress feels slow, it is not because opportunity has disappeared. The mirror is simply revealing the truth that most people try to escape. Nothing around you will change until something inside you changes first. Many people spend years hoping that the world will suddenly become kinder, easier, and more generous. They believe success arrives through luck, perfect timing, or the approval of others. But the mirror principle destroys that illusion. The world does not transform itself to accommodate your wishes. Instead, it reflects the level of discipline, belief, and determination that lives inside you. If doubt dominates your mind, hesitation will dominate your actions. If excuses control your thinking, limitations will control your results. The mirror always responds with honesty, even when the truth is uncomfortable. Every morning when you wake up, you are standing at the edge of two choices. One path is familiar and comfortable. It is the path of waiting, blaming, and explaining why things have not worked out yet. The other path demands responsibility. It demands courage. It demands that you stop asking why life is difficult and start asking what kind of person you must become to overcome it. Most people never walk this second path because it requires them to face the mirror honestly. The mirror principle is not about judging yourself. It is about awakening yourself. When you finally accept that your life reflects your standards, something powerful happens. You stop searching for shortcuts. You stop begging for opportunities. You stop waiting for motivation to magically appear. Instead, you begin building discipline. You begin building clarity. You begin building the kind of mindset that refuses to settle for average results. Think about the individuals who rise above ordinary circumstances. They do not possess some secret advantage that others lack. What they possess is a different reflection in the mirror. Their thoughts are sharper. Their habits are stronger. Their expectations are higher. While others complain about obstacles, they study them. While others fear failure, they use it as instruction. Their reflection is built through daily decisions that most people are unwilling to make. The mirror principle reminds you that the smallest daily choices eventually become the loudest results. When you choose discipline over comfort, the mirror begins to change. When you choose focus over distraction, the reflection becomes stronger. When you choose persistence instead of surrender, the image staring back at you slowly transforms into someone capable of creating extraordinary outcomes. Most people underestimate how powerful their inner world truly is. Your mind is not just a place where thoughts appear, it is a factory where your future is being manufactured every day. Every belief you repeat becomes a command to your subconscious mind. Every standard you accept becomes a limit on what you will achieve. If you believe you are capable of very little, your actions will follow that belief with perfect loyalty. But when you begin to see yourself as someone disciplined, capable, and relentless, your behavior begins to align with that identity. This transformation does not happen through motivation alone. Motivation is temporary. It rises quickly and disappears just as fast. Real transformation comes from discipline, because discipline continues even when feelings disappear. Discipline wakes up when comfort whispers that you deserve more rest. Discipline keeps moving when doubt suggests you slow down. Discipline trains the mind to obey a higher vision instead of temporary emotions. Every successful individual understands this principle, whether they explain it or not. They know that changing their environment is impossible until they change themselves first. They train their thoughts to focus on solutions instead of excuses. They train their habits to operate with precision instead of randomness. And slowly the mirror begins to reveal a different reality. Opportunities start appearing where obstacles once stood. Confidence grows where hesitation once lived. Progress begins replacing frustration. The most powerful moment in a person's life arrives when they stop fighting the mirror and start learning from it. Instead of asking why the world has not rewarded them yet, they ask a deeper question: who must I become in order to deserve the life I want? That question shifts everything. It turns complaints into strategy. It turns weakness into training. It turns ordinary days into opportunities for growth. When you begin operating from this level of responsibility, your standards rise naturally. You no longer accept the habits that once held you back. You no longer tolerate the excuses that once sounded convincing. Your mind begins searching for ways to improve instead of ways to escape effort. Each day becomes a chance to refine the reflection staring back at you. The mirror principle is powerful because it places control exactly where it belongs, in your hands. It reminds you that you are not trapped by circumstances. You are not limited by past failures. You are not defined by temporary setbacks. The person you become tomorrow is built by the decisions you make today. Every disciplined action is a brushstroke on the portrait of your future. Every focused hour strengthens the character in the mirror. Every courageous step forward reshapes the identity that determines your destiny. Over time, the reflection becomes unrecognizable compared to who you once were. The mirror never demands perfection. It only demands honesty. When you bring effort, it reflects growth. When you bring focus, it reflects progress. When you bring relentless discipline, it reflects power. And the moment you realize that your life is responding directly to the person you are becoming, you gain the most dangerous advantage a human being can possess: the awareness that transformation begins with the one person standing in front of the mirror. Stop waiting for someone to rescue your life, because the moment you accept that no one is coming to save you is the moment your real power begins. Radical self-responsibility is the decision to take complete ownership of everything that happens in your life: your results, your failures, your habits, your direction, and your future. It is the moment when excuses lose their influence and your decisions take control. Most people spend years hoping circumstances will change, hoping someone will recognize their potential, hoping luck will eventually arrive. But hope without responsibility creates a life filled with waiting, and waiting slowly steals the years that could have been used to build something powerful. Radical self-responsibility begins with a simple but uncomfortable truth: the direction of your life is determined more by your choices than by your circumstances. This truth challenges the mindset that blames the economy, the past, the environment, or other people for a lack of progress. While these factors can create obstacles, they do not hold the final authority over your destiny. The moment you decide that your future belongs entirely to you, a shift begins to happen inside your mind. Complaints lose their value and solutions begin to appear. Many people fear responsibility because it removes their ability to blame. Blame is comfortable because it protects the ego. When something goes wrong, it feels easier to say that someone else caused the problem. But every time blame becomes your habit, you surrender a piece of your power. Responsibility, on the other hand, may feel heavy at first, but it gives you control. When you accept that your life reflects your decisions, you gain the ability to change those decisions and therefore change your direction. The individuals who transform their lives understand this principle deeply. They do not spend their energy explaining why something failed. Instead, they analyze what they could do differently. They treat every obstacle as information rather than injustice. Every mistake becomes instruction. Every setback becomes a training ground for greater discipline and sharper thinking. Radical self-responsibility also demands honesty with yourself. It requires you to examine your habits, your work ethic, and your mindset without illusion. It asks questions that most people avoid. Are your daily actions aligned with the future you claim to want? Are your habits strengthening your potential or weakening it? Are you investing time into growth, or are you escaping into comfort and distraction? These questions are not meant to create guilt. They exist to create awareness, because awareness is the first step toward transformation. When you accept responsibility for your life, something powerful happens to your mindset. Your focus shifts away from what you cannot control and moves directly toward what you can control. You may not control the past, but you control the lessons you extract from it. You may not control every opportunity that appears, but you control the preparation that allows you to seize one when it arrives. You may not control the opinions of others, but you control the discipline that defines your character. This shift in focus creates a powerful form of mental clarity. Instead of feeling trapped by circumstances, you begin to see possibilities hidden inside challenges. Responsibility sharpens your thinking because it forces you to search for solutions rather than excuses. It trains your mind to become proactive rather than reactive. Over time, this mindset becomes a habit, and that habit begins to shape the quality of your decisions. The most disciplined individuals in the world share one powerful trait: they hold themselves accountable even when no one else is watching. They understand that character is not built through public recognition, but through private discipline. The hours you spend improving your skills, strengthening your mindset, and refining your habits are the hours that quietly determine your future. Responsibility transforms those hours from burdens into investments. This philosophy also changes how you view failure. Most people see failure as evidence that they are not capable. Radical self-responsibility reframes failure as feedback. Instead of asking why something went wrong, you begin asking what lesson it is trying to teach. This shift removes fear from the process of growth. When failure becomes information rather than identity, you gain the courage to continue moving forward. As this mindset grows stronger, your standards begin to rise naturally. You become less tolerant of laziness in your habits and less accepting of mediocrity in your efforts. Your expectations for yourself become sharper. You start demanding more discipline, more focus, and more consistency from your daily actions. This change in standards begins shaping the person you are becoming. Radical self-responsibility is not about punishing yourself for past mistakes. It is about reclaiming your authority over the future. Every day becomes an opportunity to make decisions that align with your highest potential. Every disciplined action becomes proof that you are capable of shaping your own direction. Over time, these actions compound, building momentum that begins to reshape the results you experience. When responsibility becomes your mindset, your life stops being controlled by external events. You stop reacting to circumstances and start designing your responses with intention. Your confidence grows because you understand that progress is not determined by luck, but by consistent effort, guided by clear decisions. This level of ownership creates a quiet but powerful strength within you. You begin to trust yourself more deeply because your actions align with your goals. Your discipline becomes evidence that you are serious about the life you are building. The more responsibility you accept, the more control you gain over the direction you travel. Every moment of responsibility strengthens the foundation of your character. Each decision to improve instead of complain adds another layer of resilience. Every effort to learn instead of blame sharpens your ability to navigate challenges. Slowly, the person you see in the mirror becomes someone defined by clarity, discipline, and determination. Radical self-responsibility transforms ordinary individuals into powerful creators of their own destiny because it eliminates the illusion that someone else is responsible for building the life you desire. It places the tools of transformation exactly where they belong, in your hands, in your discipline, and in the choices you make every single day. Everything in your life begins with a belief long before it becomes a result. Before success appears in the world, it is first built quietly in the mind. Before a dream becomes reality, it exists as a conviction deep inside a person who refuses to let doubt destroy it. The power of inner belief is the invisible force that determines whether a person rises beyond ordinary limits or remains trapped inside them. Most people underestimate this power because belief cannot be seen with the eyes, yet it quietly controls the actions, decisions, and persistence that shape every outcome. Your mind is not just a place where thoughts randomly appear. It is the command center of your entire life. Every belief you accept becomes a signal that directs your behavior. When you believe something is possible, your mind begins searching for ways to achieve it. When you believe something is impossible, your mind immediately shuts down every path that could have led you there. The difference between these two beliefs may seem small, but the consequences are enormous. Many people live far below their potential because they have unknowingly trained their minds to expect limitations. Over time, they absorb the opinions of others, the disappointments of past failures, and the fears created by uncertainty. These influences slowly build a belief system that whispers dangerous messages. You are not ready, you are not capable, you should not risk failure. When those messages repeat often enough, they begin to feel like truth, even though they are nothing more than habits of thought. Inner belief operates like a silent architect designing the structure of your life. If the foundation is weak, the structure built upon it will always remain fragile. But when belief becomes strong, confident, and determined, the structure of your actions begins to rise with power and stability. This is why individuals who accomplish extraordinary things often share one common trait. They believe in their vision long before the world sees evidence of it. This belief is not blind optimism. It is a disciplined commitment to a possibility that others may not yet understand. It allows a person to continue moving forward when progress seems slow and when obstacles appear overwhelming. Without inner belief, persistence fades quickly. With strong belief, persistence becomes natural because the mind refuses to abandon the future it has already accepted as possible. The power of belief becomes even more significant when you understand how the subconscious mind operates. Your subconscious does not judge whether a belief is accurate or false. It simply accepts repeated thoughts as instructions. If you constantly repeat ideas of doubt and limitation, the subconscious organizes your behavior around those ideas. But if you repeatedly reinforce thoughts of capability, discipline, and determination, your subconscious begins aligning your actions with those expectations. This process explains why two people facing the same challenge can experience completely different outcomes. One sees difficulty and assumes defeat is inevitable. The other sees the same difficulty but believes a solution must exist. The first person stops searching quickly, convinced the obstacle is final. The second continues exploring possibilities because their belief refuses to accept defeat as the conclusion. Inner belief also influences the way others respond to you. Confidence built on strong belief creates a powerful presence. People naturally trust individuals who trust themselves. Opportunities often appear around those who carry certainty in their voice, clarity in their thinking, and discipline in their behavior. While others may assume this confidence is a gift or natural talent, it is actually the result of a belief system that has been strengthened through consistent mental training. Developing powerful belief requires intentional effort because the mind will naturally drift toward familiar patterns of thinking. If those patterns include doubt or fear, they must be replaced through conscious repetition of stronger ideas. This means deliberately focusing on the qualities you want to develop rather than the limitations you wish to escape. It means feeding your mind with thoughts of growth, resilience, and possibility until those thoughts become automatic. Action plays an essential role in strengthening belief. Each time you take disciplined action toward a meaningful goal, you send a message to your mind that progress is possible. Small victories accumulate, slowly building confidence that reinforces the belief guiding your efforts. Over time, these actions create a powerful cycle where belief fuels action and action strengthens belief. The most remarkable aspect of inner belief is that it has the ability to transform ordinary circumstances into extraordinary opportunities. A person with weak belief sees a closed door and assumes the journey has ended. A person with strong belief sees the same closed door and begins searching for another entrance. That difference in perspective often determines who eventually succeeds. Belief also protects the mind from the discouragement that often accompanies long periods of effort. When results take time to appear, belief keeps the vision alive. It reminds you that progress is still happening beneath the surface, even when the evidence is not immediately visible. Just as a seed grows underground before it breaks through the soil, belief allows effort to continue during the quiet stages of development. As belief grows stronger, your standards begin to rise naturally. You expect more from your effort, more from your discipline, and more from your potential. Mediocrity becomes uncomfortable because it no longer matches the identity you have built in your mind. This shift in standards begins shaping your behavior in powerful ways. Your focus sharpens, your habits improve, and your persistence strengthens. Inner belief ultimately becomes a guiding force that shapes the direction of your life. It influences the goals you pursue, the risks you are willing to take, and the resilience you demonstrate when challenges appear. Over time, the person you become reflects the strength of the beliefs you have chosen to nurture. When belief is weak, potential remains hidden. When belief is powerful, potential begins to unfold through disciplined action, relentless persistence, and an unwavering commitment to the vision that first appeared inside the mind long before the world had any reason to believe it could become real. Move before you feel ready. Move before the fear disappears. Move before comfort convinces you to stay where you are. Action before comfort is the principle that separates people who transform their lives from those who spend years waiting for the perfect moment. Most individuals delay their progress because they believe they must feel confident, motivated, or inspired before they begin. But success rarely waits for emotions to cooperate. It rewards those who act first and allow their courage to grow through movement. Comfort is powerful because it feels safe. It whispers that there will always be more time tomorrow. It suggests that preparation must be perfect before any real step can be taken. The problem with this voice is that it slowly traps a person inside a cycle of hesitation. Each day of delay strengthens the habit of waiting. Each excuse becomes easier to accept. Over time, the mind begins to believe that staying still is the safest choice. Even when that stillness quietly destroys potential, action breaks this illusion. The moment you move forward despite uncertainty, something inside your mind shifts. Fear loses part of its authority because you have proven that it cannot completely control your decisions. Momentum begins to replace hesitation. Even a small action creates energy that did not exist during the period of waiting. That energy becomes the force that carries you into the next step and then the next one after that. Many people imagine that the individuals who achieve remarkable success feel confident from the beginning. In reality, confidence is rarely present at the start. It grows gradually through repeated action. Each effort provides experience. Each experience strengthens understanding. Slowly, the person who once doubted themselves begins to realize that progress is possible. Confidence then becomes a result of action rather than a requirement for it. Action before comfort also changes the relationship you have with discipline. When comfort is the priority, discipline feels like punishment. The mind resists effort because it believes effort is stealing something valuable. But when action becomes the priority, discipline transforms into a tool of empowerment. It becomes the method through which you prove to yourself that your future matters more than temporary ease. Consider the way comfort disguises itself throughout daily life. It appears when the alarm clock rings, and the mind suggests that a few extra minutes of rest will not matter. It appears when a difficult task demands focus and the temptation of distraction becomes stronger. It appears when progress requires persistence, but quitting feels easier. These moments may seem small, but they represent the crossroads where your direction is quietly decided. Choosing action in these moments may not feel dramatic, yet those decisions accumulate with incredible power. Each time you act instead of delaying, you strengthen the habit of forward movement. The mind begins to understand that hesitation is no longer the default response. Over time, this new pattern becomes natural, and the person who once struggled to begin now moves automatically toward progress. Action also reveals possibilities that waiting can never discover. When you begin moving, new information appears. Challenges that seemed overwhelming from a distance become manageable once you engage with them directly. Skills begin to develop through practice. Opportunities appear because your effort places you in environments where growth is possible. None of these discoveries can occur while a person remains trapped inside the safety of comfort. Another powerful aspect of action before comfort is the way it reshapes identity. Every action you repeat sends a message to your mind about the kind of person you are becoming. When you repeatedly choose comfort, the mind learns that avoidance defines your character. But when you repeatedly choose action, even when it is difficult, the mind begins to see you as someone disciplined, determined, and resilient. This shift in identity has profound consequences. Once the mind accepts that you are a person who acts despite discomfort, hesitation loses its influence. Challenges become signals to engage rather than warnings to retreat. Instead of asking whether you feel ready, you begin asking what step can be taken immediately. Action before comfort does not mean ignoring rest or balance. It means refusing to allow temporary feelings to determine the direction of your life. Emotions are powerful, but they are also temporary. Discipline provides stability when emotions fluctuate. By choosing action first, you ensure that progress continues even when motivation fades. The world often celebrates the visible results of success while overlooking the quiet decisions that created them. Behind every achievement lies a series of moments where someone chose effort instead of ease. They woke earlier when sleep was tempting. They practiced when others relaxed. They continued working when frustration suggested stopping. Those decisions were rarely comfortable, but they created the momentum that eventually produced extraordinary outcomes. Action also builds resilience because it teaches the mind how to respond to difficulty. Each challenge you face and overcome adds another layer of confidence. You begin to trust your ability to handle obstacles rather than fearing them. That trust becomes a powerful advantage because it allows you to pursue opportunities that others avoid. As action becomes your habit, time begins working in your favor. Efforts compound, skills improve, relationships strengthen, knowledge expands. Progress that once seemed slow begins accelerating because your consistent movement has created momentum that carries you forward. The individuals who transform their lives are rarely those who waited until they felt completely comfortable. They are the ones who understood that comfort is often the greatest barrier to growth. By stepping forward while uncertainty still existed, they created the experiences that eventually produced clarity, strength, and confidence. Each moment offers a choice between the ease of comfort and the power of action. One path preserves temporary peace while quietly delaying your future. The other path demands courage in the present but opens the door to possibilities that waiting can never reveal. The discipline to act before comfort gradually shapes a life defined by progress, resilience, and the quiet strength that comes from knowing you are no longer controlled by the hesitation that once held you still. Control your actions before your emotions control your future. The moment you allow feelings to dictate your decisions, your life begins moving in unpredictable directions. Discipline over emotion is the principle that separates individuals who build powerful lives from those who live according to temporary moods. Emotions are powerful forces, but they are also unstable. They rise and fall without warning, changing from excitement to doubt, from motivation to hesitation. If your progress depends on how you feel each day, then your progress will always remain inconsistent. Many people begin their goals with excitement. The first days are filled with enthusiasm and energy. They feel inspired, confident, and ready to conquer every obstacle in their path. But excitement is only the beginning. After the novelty fades, effort becomes difficult. The mind begins searching for comfort again. At that moment, emotions shift. Motivation weakens, doubt whispers, and distractions suddenly appear more attractive than the work that once felt meaningful. This is where most people lose their direction. They believe the loss of motivation is a signal to slow down or stop completely. They wait for inspiration to return before they continue. Days pass, then weeks, and eventually the goal that once felt urgent becomes another abandoned intention. The problem was never the difficulty of the goal. The problem was allowing emotion to decide whether effort would continue. Discipline removes that uncertainty. It establishes a clear standard that action must happen regardless of how you feel. Discipline does not negotiate with temporary moods. It does not ask whether you are inspired, tired, or uncertain. It simply demands that the commitment you made to yourself is honored through consistent effort. When discipline becomes your guide, your life begins to operate with stability. Instead of chasing motivation, you rely on structure. You build routines that support progress, even when your emotions are quiet. The work happens because it has become part of your identity rather than a response to how you feel in a particular moment. This shift in mindset is powerful because it transfers authority from emotion to intention. Instead of reacting to your feelings, you act according to your purpose. Each time you choose discipline over emotion, you strengthen your ability to control your direction. Your mind begins to recognize that feelings may appear, but they no longer hold the power to interrupt your progress. Emotions often exaggerate obstacles. When you feel discouraged, problems appear larger than they truly are. When you feel tired, effort seems heavier than it actually is. When you feel uncertain, opportunities look more dangerous than they really are. These emotional distortions create hesitation that prevents action. Discipline clears this distortion by focusing only on the next step that must be taken. Consider how powerful this approach becomes over time. A person who relies on emotion may work intensely for a few days and then disappear for weeks when motivation fades. Their progress becomes unpredictable and fragile, but a disciplined individual continues moving forward every day, even when the work feels ordinary or difficult. Their progress may appear slow in the beginning, yet consistency quietly builds momentum that eventually becomes unstoppable. Discipline also strengthens self-trust. Each time you complete a task despite resistance, you send a message to your mind that your commitments are real. You prove that your word to yourself has value. This trust builds confidence that cannot be created through motivation alone. Confidence built on discipline becomes stable because it is supported by evidence of consistent action. Another powerful benefit of discipline is its ability to protect long-term goals from short-term emotions. Feelings often focus on immediate comfort, encouraging choices that satisfy the present moment but damage future progress. Discipline keeps your attention on the larger vision. It reminds you that temporary discomfort is often the price of meaningful growth. As discipline becomes stronger, emotional resistance begins losing its influence. The mind learns that complaining will not change the requirement for action. Eventually, effort becomes automatic. What once felt difficult becomes routine. This transformation is the foundation of mastery in every field. Athletes train regardless of their mood. Entrepreneurs work through uncertainty. Artists practice through frustration. Their discipline allows them to continue long enough for skill, opportunity, and success to develop. Discipline over emotion also reshapes the identity you carry within yourself. Each time you overcome the urge to quit, you reinforce the belief that you are capable of persistence. Each time you follow through on a difficult commitment, you strengthen the image of yourself as someone reliable and determined. Identity gradually evolves through these repeated actions. Over time, the difference between emotional living and disciplined living becomes clear. Emotional living creates cycles of excitement followed by disappointment. Discipline creates steady growth that compounds with each passing day. The results may not appear dramatic in the beginning, but they accumulate quietly until they become impossible to ignore. The individuals who achieve extraordinary results are rarely the most motivated people in the room. They are the ones who continue moving forward when motivation disappears. Their discipline keeps them focused when distractions attempt to steal their attention. Their consistency allows them to build progress that others abandon before it has time to develop. Emotions will always exist. They are part of the human experience. But when emotions control your decisions, they create instability that prevents lasting achievement. Discipline provides the structure that keeps progress alive regardless of how you feel in a particular moment. Each day offers countless opportunities to choose between emotion and discipline. The choice may appear small, yet it gradually shapes the direction of your life. By repeatedly choosing disciplined action, you build a mindset that values commitment over comfort and purpose over temporary feelings. This mindset becomes the quiet force that drives progress, strengthens character, and builds the kind of life that cannot be destroyed by the changing moods of the moment. Stop trying to change your results without changing who you are. The moment you understand that every result in your life is connected to your identity is the moment real transformation begins. Identity transformation is not about doing more tasks, working longer hours, or chasing temporary motivation. It is about becoming a different person internally so that your actions, habits, and decisions naturally align with a higher level of success. Most people struggle because they try to improve their lives while holding on to the same identity that created their current results. Your identity is the collection of beliefs you carry about yourself. It is the voice inside your mind that quietly defines what you think you deserve, what you believe you are capable of, and how far you are willing to push beyond comfort. When a person believes they are undisciplined, their behavior will eventually confirm that belief. When someone believes they are capable of growth and persistence, their actions slowly begin proving that belief correct. The identity you accept becomes the blueprint that shapes the direction of your life. Many people attempt to change their lives through short bursts of motivation. They promise themselves they will wake earlier, work harder, focus longer, and pursue bigger goals. For a few days, the effort feels exciting, but eventually the old habits return. The reason is simple. Behavior that conflicts with identity rarely lasts. If someone still sees themselves as a person who avoids difficulty, they will eventually return to comfort, even if they briefly attempt disciplined action. Identity transformation begins with a powerful realization that you are not permanently defined by your past habits. The person you were yesterday does not have to control the person you become tomorrow. Identity is not fixed. It is shaped gradually by repeated decisions and consistent behavior. Each action you take becomes evidence that reinforces a particular version of yourself. When you begin this transformation, the first step is to redefine the kind of person you are becoming. Instead of focusing only on goals, you begin focusing on identity. Instead of saying you want to achieve success, you decide to become someone who lives with discipline, focus, and persistence. This shift may appear small, yet it changes the entire way your mind approaches effort. Once a new identity is chosen, every action becomes an opportunity to reinforce it. When you wake early to work on your goals, you strengthen the identity of a disciplined person. When you continue despite difficulty, you reinforce the identity of someone who refuses to quit. These moments may appear small in isolation, but they slowly construct a new self-image within your mind. The power of identity transformation lies in repetition. Each time you act in alignment with the person you want to become, you add another piece of evidence supporting that identity. The mind begins recognizing a pattern. Over time, the behavior that once required effort becomes natural because it matches the identity you now accept. This transformation also changes the way you interpret challenges. When your identity is weak or uncertain, obstacles feel like proof that you are not capable. But when you begin seeing yourself as someone resilient and determined, obstacles become opportunities to confirm that belief. Instead of asking whether you can handle the challenge, you approach it with the mindset of someone who already expects to grow through it. Identity transformation is powerful because it removes the constant struggle of forcing yourself to act against your nature. When your identity evolves, disciplined behavior becomes part of who you are rather than something you must fight to maintain. The person who identifies as a focused learner naturally seeks knowledge. The person who identifies as a relentless worker naturally pursues progress. Their behavior flows from their identity instead of temporary motivation. Another important aspect of this transformation is the way it influences your standards. Your identity determines what you tolerate in your habits and environment. If you see yourself as someone committed to growth, you become less comfortable with distractions that waste time. If you see yourself as someone dedicated to excellence, mediocrity begins to feel unacceptable. Your standards rise automatically because they must match the person you believe you are becoming. Over time, this shift begins shaping every area of your life. The way you manage time improves because your identity values productivity. The way you approach learning changes because your identity values growth. Even the way you respond to failure evolves because your identity recognizes that setbacks are part of the journey toward mastery. Identity transformation also builds powerful confidence. Confidence created by temporary success can disappear when circumstances change. But confidence rooted in identity remains stable because it is built on the knowledge of who you have become through consistent action. When you trust your identity as someone disciplined and determined, you approach challenges with calm certainty rather than fear. The remarkable aspect of identity is that it influences decisions even when you are not consciously thinking about it. Your habits become automatic because they match the story you tell yourself about who you are. That story gradually becomes